All right, everyone. So I'm Gustavo Braga. I'm one of the founders of Giga Pros. We are a community and we are a collection of specialists and mentors that help developers and data scientists and data engineers get jobs abroad. We've been doing that for a bit over 2 years now. We got professionals in 7 countries so far, and lots more to go this year. Today we have Marcus Kanagawa, the co-founder alongside me of GigaPros, and he has an experience. He works for a company abroad in the US. He has experience being a recruiter as well, and he's always getting updated when it comes to what changed in comparison to last year when it comes to techniques and ways of interviewing and practices that are applied in selection processes. We also have Igor Maccioli, who has been going through a few interviews recently, who's going to be sharing some strategies that he's been looking at these last few weeks. All right. So Marcus, want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to do it more of a open discussion today. I did not make any type of formal presentation. I have only my keynotes here. So I'd like to start asking the audience, who here recently did an interview? Recently, I mean the past 3 months.
Raise your
No?
hands.
Yeah, we can just raise your hand.
All right, Dinar, Igor, who
So,
else?
Dinar, you go. So Dinar, how was the experience for you recently? I will build on top of your argument.
I've been through some interviews and I've been noticing that it's just a hunch, but I think that the bar is higher, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, in some ways, they are asking you about the same technical stuff uh, that we've been studying here at GigaPro, like data structures, algorithms, complexity, and but it's just a feeling that the bar is higher. They are being more rigorous, more stringent about how they ask you about those kind of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for one side, I feel like since you can be contending with several developers around the world, it may be possible that you're going through a selection process and you may be competing with 100 developers from all from several countries. So and from that, I feel that they are being more rigorous. Uh, Saying this in another manner, I think they are. Uh, you can miss one thing, you can make any mistakes because since there are several contenders around you, they can pick uh, someone that is slightly better than you or went better on some aspect, slightly better than you in some aspect, so it's just a hunch. I can say that I've been through from in the last 3 months. I've been through 3 interviews, and that's my takeaway from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been feeling the same as well regarding those interviews. The bar is higher, in my opinion, mostly not only not only and particularly by the sheer amount of new candidates, but also by the fact that the whole industry became more trendy, more popular. So people heard that IT was giving a lot of money. The prime was pretty high, so a lot of people flocked in into the industry, and naturally the wages are being pushed down because of now you have more people to compete with. And also there's the fact that there's a bunch of people who literally invested a lot of money to go into the industry, and they were like taking any type of offer they could possibly get. So that also helps as well to lower the wage. But something that you mentioned that that I'd like to introduce a bit the discussion about is it seems that they are paying more attention to the theoretical part of the interview now, mostly due to the ChatGPT boom. Here's the thing. I've been doing interviews in the past couple of days, at least for the company that I work for, DMG. And something that I notice is there's some candidates, if not all of them, that use a lot ChatGPT during the interview. They just try to hide it as best that they can. So the thing is, in case you do not know, what people are doing is like they open ChatGPT in the cell phone
So,
and they do just a small prompt saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do an interview, and if I show you a question and like with the audio option, just give me the answer so I can have a backup plan." And some of them probably are doing the right way, which is like you do that and you read it and then you try to give your answer. Some others are just literally reading the thing. And then as interviewers, we have to pay a lot of attention to the answers. For example, there was two candidates that I said no, that I disqualified because I noticed they were using a lot the word delve in English. Delve is a very academic word that's not usual for a person to use in
Like to
like
delve into something.
delve into something. It's very formal. The thing is, ChatGPT is well known for using that word a lot in phrases.
Mm.
So that's how I caught the guys.
So
They were
guys, use
constantly using
ChatGPT,
delve.
but avoid the word delve. This is the secret. Is giving you the
Yeah,
secret.
delve. There's a graph. Let me see here. The amount of times the word delve was used. That's how I caught it to be. There's even, yeah, there you go. Papers with delve, and I'm gonna put here. So one of the biggest giveaway that someone's using ChatGPT is they use a lot of delve. For whatever reason, it's a word that ChatGPT loves it, and people don't use it frequently, just talking about it. So for the the interviewers, it's been hard for us to take that into consideration now. Because here's the thing: when we present a lead code challenge for you, for example, it's not a blocker anymore. Like in 2021, a lead code challenger was like a super high bar. But now, if you have the cell phone during the interview, as long as you can hide it from the camera, you can take it as a photo of your screen and ask ChatGPT for the algorithm to solve it, and then you just type it as you go. Another thing that a friend of mine is doing as well is paying attention to where the person looks. For example, if you're recording a video for YouTube and sounds like I'm giving you guys tips on how to cheat, but just give you an overview of how things are going. um, so if you're doing a video on YouTube, usually you're gonna have like some type of prompt next to it showing what you should code so you don't mess it up during the recording of the video. Someone who's using ChatGPT during the interview looks a lot like this. So they type something, they look to the side, they type something, they look to the side, they type something, they look to the side. It's constantly doing that. So I know that the person is using ChatGPT probably. Also the fact that they don't make a mistake. So they go straight to the correct answer, no mistakes, no problem, no explaining out loud. They just hammer the optimal solution. Um, so in 2025, with the boom of ChatGPT, in my opinion, that one thing that's going to happen, and I think that's a good thing, is that the bar is going to be raised, not because of the amount of people who joined the industry, because I think most of the people who joined the IT industry were juniors. But because now we have ChatGPT, the whole way we do interviews must change. out of nowhere. So we cannot rely anymore by like the fact that you can do lead code unless we're doing in person, which is like a obvious solution. If you do in person, there's no way you can achieve the system. But remotely, people are going to be forced to try other ways. For example, one thing that we noticed a lot that works with us is we set up, at least at DMG, a project with a bunch of tests, and we try to make the whole project very scattered in a way. So we have multiple files, it has a structure, we don't document the code, and then we introduce a bug in the project, and then we write some tests to it. But we don't write the description of the test, things like that. All of those things is like for a human, it's okay. If I explain the human what he needs to do, that's okay. It's gonna debug. But for ChatGPT, it's kind of hard because you need to give the context. And to give the context, you need to stop the interview and prompt it a bit and give some clues and blah, blah, blah. You have to actually do some homework to make sure ChatGPT has all the context. So I think in 2025, we're gonna move way more to context related interviews. And that's the feeling that I think Dinar is feeling as well right now. People are going, if we're gonna ask you about like merge sort, we're gonna try to be more driven about the context that you're gonna do it than just ask you about merge sort. Like write me an essay about merge sort, that type of thing. That's the thing number one that I've been noticed. Who was the other person that said also did interviews?
Igor, Igor Mattioli. Igor
Igor
Mattioli.
Matba. So please, Igor, tell me in your experience how was the interview?
Oh, hello, Marcus, hello, people. So, in my last month, December, I worked in a company where I was an interviewer. So I did some interviews with people, and after I did other interviews, technical interviews as a candidate, and I can see a lot of uh, technical interview types. So because there is the code challenge where you need to create the code in the real time, and there is other two two types, the architectural type, the system design, where you need to create a solution, you need to talk about the database, um, the scalability, the screen to show the data in the screen, and there is other type where you need to where the interview ask about the tech about the technologies that
Like
you use. So
specific
the
questions about
stack,
your stack, right?
yes, about your stack. I work with Node, so there is questions about Node, about React, so a bit about asynchronous functions, events, and the other things. So, and after that, there is the client interview. So uh, that's it. I faced it with several different technical interviews.
Mm-hmm. So more context driven type of thing, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. And were you only doing the interviews or you also did an interview as a candidate?
Now as a candidate.
So how was it the interview as a candidate for you as well? Like did you feel that the questions um they were first and foremost, do you feel like the bar is being higher like Dinar said or that is lower?
um, I think it will depend on each company
Mm,
because I can see companies like startups. Um, the bar is uh, uh, isn't higher. So if you say some things in their checklist, they will pass you. If you say Redis, cache, something like that, they will pass you. But in other companies, I can see a higher bar.
Got it. Yeah. The Yeah, pretty much. And something that I always notice regarding, I like that you mentioned the startups, is that I'm not sure if you guys heard about this, but in the US, there's a whole thing about visas and how you work in the US. So you have the H-1B visa, you have the O-1 visa, you have the student visa, you have the business visa, which is the one that I have. You have multiple types of visa in the US. And startups, usually they don't care as much about where you come from as long as you're good. They will try to figure out a way for you to work with them. But big corp, talking about Microsoft, Google, those companies, they do care about the cost of the labor itself. And this year, one of the big topics in the US is going to be the H-1B visa. At the beginning of the year, Elon Musk had a huge beef with the whole tech bros industry in California regarding this H-1 visa, mostly because Trump himself, Elon Musk, not even getting into the argument if it is a good thing or a bad thing. Billionaires usually they use a lot of H-1B visas to get workers for them. The problem with H1 right now is that the way it works is once the worker comes to the US, they get locked into that specifically employee. So the moment they lose the work, they have to go back. And when you put someone in that situation, they are very open to have the lowest possible wage because usually this type of person is trying to get out of the country. So uh, what you can expect as well from 2025, given the fact just that this whole discussion is going to start to pop off more, is there's going to be a lot of strong sentiment toward people who want to immigrate to the US during those interviews. I'm not sure if you guys ever saw the check mark whenever you apply to a US company that asks, do you need a visa? Do you need help with immigration for that position in particular? So that's probably gonna be something that companies, I think, at least not the big corps, but the smaller ones gonna start to take into consideration as well, because that could be like lead them to some type of problems with anyone. Oh, okay, someone joined as a guest. Uh, Public image problems right now. It's still a whole situation that people are talking about, but if you have as a goal to immigrate to the US, oh hey Gus, long time to see you.
Hey Marcus, hello my friend. How's it going?
Amazing. Just talking about visas right now. So
Oh,
if you think about the immigration to the US, be aware that's gonna be probably the rules are gonna change in the next couple of years or months, I guess. Could be for good or for worst. Depends a lot on who wins the whole conversation. Elon Musk, for example, wants to increase the amount of H1B visas in the US. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people who want it to decrease, and also you have people in the center who think the number of H1 is okay. What you need to do is make the minimum wage for H1 to match the one of a local worker. Therefore, it's gonna break the whole argument that usually some people are using that H1 visa as a way to get low and cheap labor from abroad. Um, so ChatGPT, H1 visa, H1B visa for immigration. Another thing as well that I think if you're looking for in 2025 for international job as an IT guy, try to, and if you're specifically looking for immigration in the US, try the visa that's called O1. People who are really interested into immigration in the US and they truly have like long experience, they think they can pass interviews like Microsoft, Google type of interview. Try the O1 visa, which is the extraordinary ability. And this one is going to be probably in 2025 the main entry point for tech workers in the US. Probably because most of the H1B visas right now are being used with India. So there's also this discussion around the fact that people are in a way favoring people from India for this type of visa. So if you're trying to go to the US with a visa that's no work related, you probably should try the O1. It's gonna be easier for tech bros in general. Be aware of Delve. Do not use Delve in the interview. Probably the recruiter's gonna notice. Be aware of ChatGPT. If you're gonna use it. I'm not even gonna go into the morality of it, but if you do use it, be aware that the interviewers nowadays they can notice if they're paying attention to the interview. Another thing that I do notice as well happening, I'm not sure if you guys can agree with me, is that there's less there are less direct positions to work with the company and more positions to work with someone in between. So a company that's hiring developers and this company provide those developers to the actual company. The whole idea here is that the company can pay pretty much like the client can pay lower wages and also decrease the risk, which is for like the entrepreneur in the US is amazing. Like he can cut costs and decrease risk at the same time. So I think this is a trend that's gonna continue to grow. And I would highly recommend that if you find a client that's looking to work directly with you, like say, hey, I want to work, we do not have like a middleman that hires for us, take that position. That's probably the type of position that you can actually get promotions, climb up in the ladder of the organization. Oftentimes, what I've been seeing is that whenever you have a middleman, because the whole interest that they have is to keep the cost low, they'll probably not actually get you promotions and that type of thing in the long run. So for me, I think overall for 2025, those are the three main predictions. I don't think yet AI is gonna destroy every single job in the IT. I'm not sure if I wanna actually listen for you guys' perspective about that. But I do think there's gonna be layoffs related to AI, because the productivity of some developers will compound and kind of make unnecessary too much hands in some things. Do you want to say something, Gus?
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted to reinforce what you were saying because I don't think AI will took our position, but one thing that I would like to highlight is another software engineer that handles and works with AI might might take our positions, because if you see they are increasing their speed of developing something, and it's more straightforward to instead of we consult, for example, Google, we can directly rely on one AI, for check something because I'm pretty sure that everyone, not all the time, but you have some questions, you have some doubts, and it's pretty straightforward to just go dive in AI and check what you have to check, you know. But honestly, what I was discussing with some friends the last week was about that, like if you see, I think most of software engineers that have kind of a blocker to use them. But honestly, if you see, uh, at the end of the day, it's just a normal tool set that we could use uh, as part of our uh, software tools that we could use. What do you think about it?
Dinar, you have something to say?
Yeah, I totally agree with Gus, but this is where it becomes a paradox because if I consider the generative AIs as a tool that will help me be more productive, why is that considered such a don't do it in the interview, you know?
That's an amazing.
I see your point. You have a good point.
But
But
actually,
basically, it's a kind of how could I say, it's a warning line, because if you rely all the time into AI, you lose your pace, like the knowledge that you have. And sometimes when you use for some smaller thing, it's a great idea, you know.
well, yeah, I put out the question, but actually I may be aware of the answer. because when you're being interviewed, the interviewer, the company wants to get to know you, wants to get to know what you are capable of, let's say, without assistance. Yeah. And it makes sense to not use some assistant like ChatGPT, because you won't be able exactly to know what is the extent of the knowledge of that developer, of that professional.
Yeah.
If he's using ChatGPT, you're not, the frontier is pretty blurred. You're not sure if he does know it or if he doesn't know it. But uh, and here's the thing, we still need good senior, prepared developers, you know. And that reminds me one thing that happened to me at college and at the university. Uh, uh, in several opportunities, I thought that I could get away with
What?
how do you say cola in English?
With cheating?
Cheat.
Yeah,
Cheating.
when I was cheating when I did my cola, I started to
You got your
learn
cheat sheet.
my
Yeah.
cheat sheet. When I wrote my cheat sheet, I started to learn what was in the
Yeah.
cheat. And when I get to the test, I didn't need it. So why I'm saying that? Because we can use ChatGPT as a tool to learn for the interview, you know? I believe we've been talking about this for some time. When you are preparing for an interview, for now you can't use ChatGPT, but you can use ChatGPT for training. And when you create your cheat sheet, you will be learning a lot about what you need to know about the selection process, you know?
For sure. And yeah, it does make sense for it to be a taboo right now, because many people are using it to just imagine you are doing an interview and you invite someone else to answer for you. Like, hey, can I ask my cousin who's beside me? Can he answer for me? Like, you're not proving that you know how to handle it, you know, but we're probably gonna find a middle ground in which you show that you are using AI on purpose, but just to streamline a process or answer a question in a more precise way, but that you know the answer to, know how to execute that. So probably we're gonna have to find a middle ground as the months go by, and also I feel this whenever we are working with AI, we tend to just turn off our executive functions in a way, like, and just, okay, this is not me thinking, it's this thing. And I find that unfair. Like, even when I'm working by myself, for example, if I'm making a name for a brand, for example, because I work with branding too, what I do is, instead of just, hey, give me a name for this brand, I do my study. I do my, like, study the narratives and the concept I want that brand to have. And let's say that I want that brand to be called something related to ceramics in Greece. And then, hey, tell me how to say ceramics in the 50 most common languages. There we go. Now I have an idea, and then I'm using a tool to just expand on that idea, and also give me like, explain how ceramics was made in Greece in this century, or where else ceramics was applied in the last millennium. You know, like, I have a direction that I want to go, and not just, you know, delegate the whole thought process to a tool. So maybe you guys can translate that into the dev universe.
I strongly agree with you, Gus, because sometimes, as you said, you have this streamline that you need to maybe take care about. Is it a good idea to check or maybe rely into AI? Because as I was saying, sometimes when you rely a lot on, for example, in our context as a software engineers, we have a one tool that integrated with a lot of IDAs, like GitHub Pilot, for example. One friend of mine was using a lot, and when I was performing some mock interviews with him, I just let him know that I felt that he lose his faith, like he's not performing as the way that he used to, because here he's using a lot AI for solving some minor things. Honestly, I not like this approach. It's more kind of, let's say that you have a smaller question that you want to check on Google, for example, or some minor things. You can check faster on one AI, but not all the time consulting AI for do something.
Yeah.
Something that I like on Denar's idea, and I actually gonna try this. Gus mentioned that when you go to ChatGPT, you just kind of shut down your brain most of the time if you're using it wrong. And Dana brought a good point that it should not be prohibited because we're gonna use it. That's for sure. Everyone's gonna use nowadays ChatGPT in work. So what I think is the wise solution, because right now, like you guys said, it is a taboo. People don't like to allow you to use that in the interview. But so they did not allow you to use cell phones in the past, and everyone uses the cell phone nowadays at work. There's no one here who doesn't use a cell phone at work. And if I'm not mistaken, the beginning of like the adoption of cell phones, they were prohibited everywhere, like in schools and work, everywhere. Nowadays, like we just assume that you have a cell phone and you're gonna use it to work as well. So
Hmm.
maybe a good idea is to allow the candidate to use ChatGPT, but then now you have to pay attention how they use it. Is this guy just gonna like ask ChatGPT to do the work for him and not think about it? And then if I make a question about what he did, he goes and makes the question to ChatGPT. If that's the candidate, and I explicitly allowed him to use ChatGPT during the interview, what he's telling me is like, you can replace me with ChatGPT. So, but now if I make, hey, can you make a slogan for our new marketing campaign? And then he uses ChatGPT to get ideas, and then he come out with an idea of a marketing campaign. Okay, that's a good hire. He's used ChatGPT to get like more things, and he has something special that adds up to not just like that's where I would draw the line as well, where Gus said that I don't think like indeed if you're just using if you're just as good as a prompt in ChatGPT, yes, you're gonna get replaced, but that was inevitable anyway. Like someone would at some point to write a SaaS system and replace you anyway. But now if you're using ChatGPT to get more value and to like get ideas and to improve and blah blah blah, yeah, you have value. And I think yes, the market needs to adapt to ChatGPT in the interviews because right now they are pretending it doesn't exist and it's not gonna work.
Hmm.
You just like let a bunch of people go
They're in
in as
denial.
yeah, you're in denial. But if we embrace the idea that you're gonna use ChatGPT just like we did with cell phones in the past, I think we can gain a lot by looking at how wise are you using this new tool to work, and what do you have to add on top of it. Because like creatively, yes, ChatGPT can give you a script of a video. I've been using ChatGPT to try to write videos, for example, but oftentimes, at least to me, it sounds like without soul. For example, jokes. I never could get ChatGPT to give me a script of a video with good jokes. I always have to think of them by myself. And if I ask him, hey, try to build a joke in this script about this context, it just sucks because there's
A
no time.
dev and data science get into a bar and they like it's the kind of joke they write.
Yeah, like it lacks the ability of timing, because the
Mhm.
joke for me is a punchline and the timing. You cannot just deliver, say the joke. You need to breathe and these things it lacks a lot. So you add up to them. You wanna say something, Dinar, as well?
Yeah, and I think that's the main point of all this. The challenge for the company remains. The company wants to get to know you, wants to get a grasp about is this guy a good match for this position? Is he a good match for our company? And as the challenge remains, I believe there are two main takeouts for us concerning that specific point. We should be very diligent about how we prepare, not just for a specific position, but as a professionals. As professionals, we should be very diligent. We can use ChatGPT to work, to learn, but we must do this in a very in a pretty careful and conscientious way, in order for us to really truly learn, not just become a ChatGPT operator, you know. And the second thing would be about the company. From the company's standpoint, from the interviewer's standpoint, it should learn how to interview those guys,
Yes.
Because you said something very interesting, Marcos. You said something like, if you challenge the guy about the context that you were asking him, let's say, okay, you said that solution would be this, but what about if we try that? What about if something like that happens? What about, and if you keep trying, if you keep trying the guy on the possibilities on that context, on that question, on that tech, on that solution, you may be doing exactly what you need to do in order to assess the guy. And that's what I think the company should do. They're not exactly doing it, but I think they should do this. Not assessing us on tiny little things like, let's do a binary search, write me a code that do a binary search on that specific context, since considering that we have all the stacks that we work with have solutions for a binary search. You won't be doing a binary search on your specific job, But the companies, I think they need to learn how to interview in that new, broader context, considering that we have ChatGPT on play, and you should really find ways to really assess that guy, that professional,
Yeah.
Yes. Once in college, when I studied English and Portuguese, I was caught cheating, which was an interesting experience, but very weird because I wasn't cheating. I just, I was given like, okay, what happened when I studied that? I already spoke English for quite a while. I was an English teacher. And those classes, I just took the tests because they were teaching English from scratch to people that didn't know in English. And I was like, all right, today's test day. This is the material. Let me go. Well, I took the material into the class, and I was answering the test with material beside me. And then weirdly, the teacher caught me. Hey, you're cheating. Like, you cannot do that. And that was weird for me because I had no intention of actually copying the answers from the sheet. I just wanted to answer the questions. But the thing is, what's the whole point of this story? If you can cheat on a test in a very straightforward manner in which you can just copy answers onto a sheet, the questions are wrong. It's not that the answers are wrong. Like, so interviewers should evolve into asking questions that are uncheatable, that you can test the person's capacity to explain a strategy, to reason on top of a workflow or framework or something like this. Like if you just ask questions like they're direct, like just Dinar said, um, ChatGPT can answer that, Google can answer that. So yeah, just ask better questions.
right now I already thought of a question to make in the interview. And I know ChatGPT is gonna suck at that. Is that given like a awkward situation between two employees, how you can break the ice, like break the silence with a joke about the situation? It would suck.
That's yeah. Also,
Because
like asking about the person's experience, right? Like, so how do you solve conflict on the workplace? ChatGPT can answer that. So how did
yeah,
you do that in the last job, you know?
mm, yeah. Yeah, exactly. All of those problems they arise by the fact that you deny the usage of ChatGPT. So I think that
Yeah.
the Nas idea is also good if we allow him to use it. Now we should not try to trick it in trying to get him, but we can actually see how he uses it. It's better, you
Yeah.
know.
It's like calling a person's bluff. You know, I'm calling you bluff. I know. Okay, you are forced to use ChatGPT. Use it for this. And they don't ask you a question and you would be, hey, I cannot write a prompt for this question, and you'll be forced to leave it and answer it honestly.
You know also
And I
what you
and I trust that's the formula companies should be doing.
Yeah.
yeah,
That one is the formula that
Hmm.
companies should be following.
and you know
Yeah.
something, I remember from college there was a professor that he really liked his job. It is a calculus 2 professor.
Hmm.
And he did allow us to use calculators and to use a book. But he did allow us to do it because he knew his test was insanely difficult. So he was secure that like even he was like, okay, the thing is hard to solve it. So even with the help, I know you guys are gonna take time to solve it. So he was stressing our capacity to solve like a new problem. What I think is like in one hand, when you prohibit ChatGPT, you're kind of doing a lazy job, you know. But if you really want to do a good job, you can do allow the guy to use ChatGPT, but make more effort into the test itself. Like make a difficult test that even with ChatGPT will require the guy to think, to know his stuff, you know. You can even play around with stuff like, hey, you can use ChatGPT. It is allowed. I just need to see it and I want you to use it and must be like an old model because then you don't have like the latest reference of the API. But I want to see how you're gonna take the information about how things works and how you play around with compiler, you know, like misinformation when it hallucinates. ChatGPT sometimes hallucinate. If you don't pay attention to what it is doing, it's gonna throw a bunch of weird code in it. But then if you force the guy to be in an outdated model, now he needs to think about what ChatGPT is doing, you know.
Yeah.
Things like
Also, maybe asking a question that is purposefully wrong, that has a flaw in the question, and then if the person doesn't notice the error, it's because they didn't read the question. So that could be a strategy too.
yeah, ChatGPT usually will get the problem, and the person did not means like, oh, okay, you did not get it, ChatGPT got it, so there's a problem here.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
so
I
those,
think okay, Gus, go on, sorry.
I was just going to say that those are my 2 cents about that whole situation right now. 2025, I don't think it's gonna be the replacement of developers, but yes, I think it's gonna be less positions. And more demand because the Brazilian real is every day getting devaluated in front of the dollar. So it's gonna be more
Yeah.
people realize, okay, I need to learn English now. I cannot postpone it anymore. And that's not
And
even
I'm feeling the wages are getting lower, just a little bit lower.
yeah. And even if you make the argument that oh, the U.S. wages they decreased, the fact that the Brazilian real always kind of loses to the dollar means that even if you're making a low amount of dollars, you're still better off than receiving a
Yeah.
like good amount of reais because of the devaluation of the currency.
For us here, it's still worth it. So
Be
we'll
worth it.
keep accepting those lower wages, and the companies will be happier than ever.
Yeah, they'll
Hmm.
be happy than exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be the end in 2025. But it's gonna be fun to see how the interview changes. That's for sure. And I think we came to a good conclusion here, in my opinion. I will try to do that more as well on mine. I will allow the candidate to use ChatGPT. I'm gonna pay attention how he's doing it because there's like it's a fact. Everyone's using now the phone to use ChatGPT in an interview. So at least let him use it, and so I can test as well how he's using it.
And here's the thing, I've noticed that chat, there's a workaround about those delve or known words that ChatGPT should use, you know? You can instruct ChatGPT to be like a human. You can instruct him, you can use a prompt that says, I'm gonna be in an interview, you can explain it, and then you can provide some workarounds so he can give you some human-like tips. So you can say that, act like you're a human tutor, act like you are an expert on Java version 11, and provide me with human-like answers, even not formal answers, like use colloquial language, use some language that it's pretty related to a human being responding. And you can instruct him, give specific instructions that makes him act like he's a human. If you only say, give me an answer for a binary tree problem, he will give you formal answers. If you tell him to be like a human in a specific way, he will do it.
Exactly.
Right. Cheating tips with the
It will do it. It will do it.
It's gonna start a new series. How to cheat in an interview with the Nasuaris. Like
And to be fair, there's wars that are lost from the beginning, from the get-go. Like a friend of mine, I was in a bar with him, and he was like, we were talking about politics, which is a terrible idea in a bar. But he mentioned that at some point he made like a joke like, congratulations to drugs for always winning the war on drugs, because they always come out on top. So like that test is something that humanity does ever since the beginning of it. There's no way we're gonna fight off cheating. It's just like something that's intrinsic to it. I think it's a better idea to like play the game of coming up with a better system around the fact that people will cheat. And I think that's the game that like countries like Japan use a lot. Like, let's make a place where cheating is not worth it. You get better results by not doing so. So you play more the game of like, instead of trying to catch the thief, you try to make a system that it's kind of more worth it to play as a good citizen, you know? So instead
Yeah.
of catching people using ChatGPT, let me allow him to use it, and let me select people who use it better.
Or just
Mhm.
pretend you have a lazy eye like me. That always works. I
There
used
was-
to do that
yeah.
in middle school. I don't do it anymore, but I would introduce myself to the teachers like this.
Mm.
So they always thought that this eye was faulty. And then during exams, I could have this 180 vision. So
I love the story.
Wow,
yeah.
that's next level.
Yeah, so I can
cheating.
technically look at two monitors like this if I wanted to.
But you can straighten it up, right?
Yeah, I can straighten it up, but I can also make it
Wow.
lazy so I can see what's there.
Wow.
He has
That is
evolved. He
genius. That
has
is
evolved.
genius.
Next
Here's
level
a pro
human.
tip for those that have a lazy
Yeah.
eye just like me.
So people with a lazy eye are gonna survive the next
Yeah.
generations. Are gonna reproduce, are gonna spread
Yeah.
this gene, and
And if
everyone
you
in the future is gonna have a lazy eye because of two screens, and you're the responsible for that.
Yeah,
and if you get a job position and
Darwin
they
was
ask
right.
about it, just say you got surgery and fixed it.
That's cool. All right, guys. So let's end this call today on this high note of Ansel's lazy eye and the best tip of all. And
Darwin.
yeah, I wanna thank everyone for being here. Pedro is a new client here at Giga. Mateus too. They both joined this week. Welcome to the community. We can give you full support. Just send a message to Answer or Eager. They can help you with anything, all right? If you have an interview coming up, we can even adapt our Wednesday meeting to help you with that, or even have an extra call with you. Like, count on us for everything, all right? So let's
Also,
take
if you
sorry.
have any question, feel free to hit me on any social media. All of them is
Yeah.
the same. Kanagawa Marcos. It's all the same.
Follow Kanagawa Marcos.
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter go very political, so just go there if you. But the rest,
Who
Mine is this
doesn't?
one.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
This is mine in case you want to follow me, guys.
uh,
All right, so let's take a picture. 1, 2, 3, and very good. Thanks a lot for being here, everyone.
Have a
Enjoy
great
the rest of your
weekend, guys.
Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.
Bye bye.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
guys.
You guys,
Bye.
take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.